Hey, welcome back to Coaching Concepts. I'm Edgar Jones. A couple weeks ago, I had a chance to sit down with my colleague, Trevor Baker. And Trevor has an extensive background in education. This conversation that we had, we not only talked about leadership, we also talked a lot about feedback. I hope you enjoyed this conversation as much as I did. So Trevor, tell for the viewers that's watching a little bit about your role and what you do here at Performance Scoring.
So at Performance Scoring, I'm technically the Vice President of Education, but we've got two different sides of the company. One is in private industry. The other side, which I oversee, is education.
All right. So education, how long were you in education for?
So I was in education 13 years, 7 as a teacher, and then 6 as an administrator, assistant principal.
So what made you get out of education?
Well, at the time, I was looking for my own campus. I'd been an AP for a while. My principal told me that he felt I was ready to have my own campus, so I'd begun looking at that. I had used performance scoring at my campus with my staff and some other facets of my campus, and I got reached out to, and I was asked, do you want to oversee education? We really want to push into it. So I believed in the product. It allowed me to stay in a position of leadership and ultimately be able to talk to leaders all around the nation about what they do and how we can help them.
Yeah. So is it true that once an educator, always educated?
I feel like that. I feel a strong pull anytime I talk to anybody in education, whether it be a teacher, a paraprofessional, superintendent, board member. There's just something that when you've lived that life for so long, you speak a certain language and you have those relationships based on similar experience. So I definitely think I'm always an educator. And honestly, I've seen lots of similarities between being in a leadership role in education as opposed to out of education. Of course, my job keeps me close to educators, but within a private company, at first I thought maybe things would be a little bit different, but really leadership is leadership.
Yeah, that's interesting. You say that leadership is still leadership, regardless on if you're in the corporate side or if you're in education. We talk a lot about leadership. We talk a lot about feedback. What does feedback look like in education? Because we know what it looks like in a corporate setting. But what does that look like in education?
I think one of the biggest differences I've seen relating corporate to education is students.
Mm-hmm.
Once you add students, it's just a whole nother ballgame. But in education, students are the focus. And so when you say feedback, most educators' minds are going to go to test scores, benchmarks, what we call formative assessments, so like quizzes and stuff, just really trying academically to get feedback from your students to know where they are so you know where to guide them, but also socially and emotionally as well, like being able to know who that student is. So a lot of times in education, the focus is there. And I think I know what I saw, both as a teacher and an administrator, but especially in these days, talking to my former teachers and people that I have relationships with still, is a lot of times teaching staff, both certified teachers and then also like paraprofessionals, other people, they kind of get lost in the shuffle, and it's all about the kids, and it's very easy to lose your teacher's voice if you're an administrator. Personally, I started in a district that was small, and I could get feedback from my staff just by walking up and down the halls, but we began to grow rather quickly, and adding on admin staff, adding on more teachers, that became a challenge. And it just became one of those things to where when teachers didn't feel like they were being listened to, or paraprofessionals, anybody, they would just kind of hold that in. They didn't have an outlet to give that feedback. So one of the highest compliments I ever could get from a staff member is thank you for listening.
Mm-hmm.
So it's valuable. But one thing I definitely understand is getting honest feedback from your staff can be challenging in many ways.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for checking this video out. I'm Edgar Jones, and this is Coaching Concepts.